Hello everybody and welcome to Zero Mile ADV, a beginner's guide to adventure motorcycling from a true beginner's perspective. Today we're going to get into things that I feel like I still need to improve on. They say that it takes about 10,000 hours to become a professional at anything. And if I do the math based on the amount of miles/kilometers I have, I probably have about 200 hours on the bike. So as somebody who's just barely scratched the surface, what are some things I feel I still need to get better at and areas for improvement on my adventure bike? Before we get into that, I'm doing a giveaway to help my channel grow. If you're not aware of how the YouTube algorithm works, all those annoying ads that all you guys have to watch, and some of my videos have gotten some decent views, like upwards of 3,000 or 4,000 views. I don't make a dime on it. So all of this stuff comes out of my pocket, but I love doing it. It's fun. I love talking and learning about adventure motorcycles. But one way that I can help recuperate some of my costs is by getting paid on some of these advertisements, but I need at least 1,000 subscribers. So to help my channel grow, I'm doing a giveaway of these awesome Climb Carlsbad pants. They are basically like a demo pair. They've been used a couple times. They just don't fit me right, but rather than sell them, I thought, why not do something fun and give them away? So if you're a size 34, 32 roughly, and you think these pants will work for you, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and leave me a comment below of some other YouTube creators that you really like that are doing some cool things in the motorcycle space to help me expand my knowledge and support other people doing the same thing so we can all kind of build an online community. So that's all you have to do. Subscribe, leave me a comment below with some of your other favorite motorcycle YouTube content creators. All right, so clearly we're doing another video in the garage because the snow has come back to Colorado and it is not very conducive to taking the motorcycle out. Amazing for skiing, not so great for riding the motorcycle. So let's get into it. After about 200 hours, what are some things I still need a lot of help with? First would be downhill control. Not straightaway control, but downhill cornering control, I feel like is probably more important. As I've gone on some roads that kind of have some downhill descents with some twisties in them, I'm just not that confident in the bike. Still need to learn how to be in the right gear and not be over revving, but also not too low so that I'm going too fast and then using the brakes and then the bike wants to stall because I'm going too slow for the gear that I'm in, and so just becoming smoother at downhill control. Uphill is obviously great because it's easy because you can kind of get in the right gear and you can easily let off the throttle to kind of easily control your speed into a corner. But coming downhill, it's a matter of making sure you have the right speed in the right gear, coming out of the corner, just still need a lot of work there. So if you have any tips for better downhill control on a motorcycle, please let me know. I'd love some drills or things I could practice that would make me better because it's one area I still definitely need a lot of improvement in. The next would be keeping loose. So if you watch, some of you have mentioned Big Rock Moto, but he has a great YouTube channel, and on his channel they were doing a review between his BMW 1250 GS and a Ducati Multistrada V4, and his buddy was riding the Ducati, and he was talking about how his buddy a lot of times when they get in the sand likes to death grip. And this is something I definitely did, especially for the first 500 or 600 miles, and on dirt roads I would death grip, and not a good thing. So I'm getting better at trying to be looser with the hands. This is something I learned while I'm mountain biking, but for some reason didn't translate to the motorcycle. You know, when you hit that loose dirt, you got to keep the hands loose and let the front wheel kind of do its thing, is, you know, be there so it doesn't get super out of control, right? But allow it to kind of shimmy and keep your speed up, and it'll be a lot smoother. And then you can ride a little bit faster to smooth out those, you know, like the washboard. So good news for me on that front is, you know, on some of the local BLM land roads and fire roads, I was pretty comfortable around 15, 20 miles an hour, but now I can actually get up to the speed limit and get up to about 35 miles an hour and feel pretty comfortable and feel like the bike's under control. And so yeah, still need to work on just keeping the hands loose, especially on the dirt, and letting the bike kind of do its thing, and know that, you know, still ride within my limits, but yeah, keeping the hands loose. Another note on this keeping things loose is letting the bike kind of flow underneath me. When I first really got into mountain biking, this is something that somebody who a downhill mountain bike coach told me a lot that really revolutionized how I was able to ride technical trails, and that is kind of keeping your body upright, but shifting the mountain bike under you. Now, it's a lot easier with a 25-pound mountain bike versus a 500-pound motorcycle, but I feel that this is super important, especially when I get out onto some of these like fire roads. Again, not single track trails, not really what I want to do on this bike, but I do enjoy getting out on the fire roads out in the BLM land and kind of exploring, because we have a lot of that out here in Western Colorado, and just allowing the bike to kind of pitch and roll under me and feel the suspension, kind of know when I'm pushing it too hard, when I'm eating in too much suspension, or maybe I'm not using it enough and letting the bike flow under me. So I think that's just going to come with a lot more practice, getting out on these dirt roads and just getting used to letting the bike manipulate underneath my body, but keeping myself upright and keeping my weight down, but having the bike kind of flow underneath me. So number 3 is kind of just working on that flow with the bike. Number 4 is a little bit interesting, and a lot of you may be surprised by this, but actually keeping the speed down. If you've watched my other videos, you've talked about why I think it's okay for a beginner to buy a bigger bike, and I always talk about this idea of personal responsibility. Can you be responsible with your bike? And with any big bike, that really comes within riding within your limits and riding within the law. But as you get more comfortable with anything, and like me, your confidence starts to build. For example, I got a new snowboard this year. It's called the Black Snowboard of Death by Capita. Super damp, will crush through pretty much anything, and so you want to fly down the mountain. But again, especially if I go during the week, not a problem. I can totally ride within my limits, and I can just crush, 40 miles an hour down the hill, no problem. But when it's crowded, I gotta bring the speed back, remember to ride within my limits, and keep myself and others safe. And the same thing can happen with a motorcycle. You start to get confident, you feel good with it, and especially out here where the speed limits are 75 miles an hour, once you cross the Utah border, 80 miles an hour, it's super fun to get up on the highway and get up to speed and really feel the power of this bike. So that's one thing I'm learning to enjoy, but I still have to listen to that voice in my head. Ride within your limits, ride safe, ride within the limits of the law as well, and just enjoy the ride. So yeah, always remembering to stay safe out there. Next would be learning to corner the bike on dirt roads. Now on pavement roads, I actually watched another YouTube content creator, and I can't remember the channel, but they had taken this bike out onto a supermoto track. And this bike with, I think, the right tires is basically like a supermoto, because he was crushing some like actual Yamahas and BMWs out on the track and passing them on this bike. But one thing you see them doing is really leaning on the inside of the corner, really leaning on the bike to get it to corner, which makes sense when you have street tires on pavement and there's a lot of grip. And then you have to fight the motor or that flywheel that wants to pull the bike upright. I understand wanting to pull it over. However, on dirt roads, it seems to be the complete opposite, and seems to be more like a mountain bike because you're generally going slower. And so you're not fighting to get the bike over, because it will lean a little bit easier. And you need to learn to lean the bike, but keep your weight up at vertical to keep downward pressure on those tires to get them to take it in the dirt. And then also finding the limit of where like these Motos, Tractionator GPS tires want to grip when you're in a corner, because they have the smoother section on the inside, but then more grip on the outside, much like a mountain bike tire. So you get faster rolling resistance when straight, but better cornering ability. So again, I need to learn better about where that limit is, where there's a lot of grip, because sometimes if you don't lean enough, you don't have enough grip, which causes problems. But if you lean too much, you can wash the bike out. But so again, learning how to manipulate the clutch in that flywheel so that if I do get a little loose, give it a little gas, maybe pull the clutch to want to pull the bike back up, just some of these kind of things. So if you have any tips on safe ways and ways to practice cornering on dirt, to kind of learn where the grip of your tires are on an adventure bike, I would love to know what those are. So please leave me a comment below. And for me, those are kind of my big areas that I feel I really am lacking in. Around town, I feel pretty comfortable after about 200 hours, so nowhere near being expert enough. But those are kind of my biggest struggles when I go out and ride and I kind of enjoy the bike. So I would love any feedback you have, any good tips or drills or videos to links of drills and things I can practice when the weather gets nice to help me get better. I would really appreciate it. And if you've made it this far, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time a video comes out. Helps build my channel. And as always, stay safe out there.